Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well today. Thank you so much for joining this live practical workshop today. It's my immense pleasure actually to present this workshop. The amount of work and effort that we've done in collaboration with you and all of the amazing feedback that you've given has led us to this point where we've now actually delivered our new reporting feature free of charge for all of our clients. The actual interest in this workshop has been completely overwhelming. So yeah, really appreciate everybody who has registered. Even if you're not joining live and you're watching the recording, really appreciate it. So today's workshop is going to be focused on new Teamdash reports. And my aim and my goal for this workshop is to empower you to be able to utilize this tool right away as soon as you finish the session today. We're going to have a look at a pre-built recruitment metrics dashboard right out the box. It's there ready for you to use right away. I'm also going to help show you how to build your own custom dashboards, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks along the way as well. But again, I'm just going to ask if I can get a thumbs up and a quick hi from people that have joined, just to make sure that you can all see and hear me okay. Yeah, excellent. Love that. Thank you very much. I'm just going to mention as well that we do have some poll questions, and I will point out when I'd like you to answer those, but feel free to jump in and answer those as soon as you can as well. It helps us to continue helping you to really understand what's important to you as users. And as we're proving today, we will deliver on that feedback that we get. Now, I am just going to get my screen shared with you first of all. So just bear with me a moment. Okay, let's just hopefully that is large enough for everybody. I think I've got myself smaller, which is what we want. So yes, as I've started to say, recruitment reporting made simple and powerful. It's one of the ethoses here we have at Teamdash. Whenever we deliver a new feature, a new tool, we want it to be easy to use for everybody that uses Teamdash, but extremely powerful and impactful. And I'm really impressed with our amazing product team in terms of what they've delivered. Fun fact, actually, they're so amazing that this has actually been one of the more difficult workshops for me to have planned for, not because the tool isn't intuitive, super easy to use, fresh and amazing, but because they've just been delivering updates so fast. So props to our amazing product team on such an amazing tool. You will notice as well that the new reports tool is still in beta, which means we're constantly evolving and improving it as well. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Steve Smith, Customer Success Manager here at Teamdash. I know that I've spoken to many of you before, but for those that I haven't, hello, it's nice to meet you. Now, with the new Teamdash reports, this is something that, as I mentioned, we built with you for you. So over the past months, many of you have been sharing what would make reporting even more valuable. Now, this included the ability to create custom dashboards per user, per team, department, or any other custom candidate or project field, and then have a really easy way to share these reports with the various other stakeholders in the business, whether they use Teamdash or not. Also, the ability to drill into the why. So most of you, if not all of you, will already know about our existing recruitment performance tab. It was great. It helped us answer a lot of questions. But having the ability to drill down into the detail behind those numbers was something which it was slightly lacking. So again, this is something that we've delivered on with the new reports. Another top topic was being able to compare your performance to previous periods. You know, we want to make sure that we're constantly improving, constantly getting better. And if it's not, if our metrics are looking slightly negative, the ability to drill in and see why so that we can address it. And you wanted confidence that the numbers reflect your specific process. So whether that comes down to your custom stage categories, the custom data which you're collecting. We took all of that feedback, we built Teamdash reports with and for you. And the outcome is we have a flexible, drillable, trustworthy reporting workspace that's super easy to use. As I mentioned before, in today's workshop, I'm going to provide a comprehensive overview of a ready-to-go recruitment metrics dashboard. I'm going to explain the various different widgets, and you'll understand what that means when I show you. Then we're going to build a custom dashboard together. So if you do have your laptop, which I'm sure you do, and you'd like to have Teamdash open, feel free to follow along. Better if you've got two screens, because otherwise you're going to be having to keep switching windows. If you don't have two screens, don't worry. We're going to give you the full support to help you anyway. But as I say, it's so easy to use that I'm sure that as soon as this workshop's finished, you're going to be able to build your own custom dashboard literally in a matter of minutes. I'm going to show how we can get some really quick wins. And I'm also going to highlight some very simple settings which you might want to review, along with our fantastic, and again, our product team always never fail to amaze me. They've delivered a fantastic new AI kind of data quality check tool as well. So we're going to have a look at some of those settings, because if the quality of data that's coming in is poor, the quality of data that's coming out is poor. So there's some very simple tips and tricks that I'm going to show you to ensure that everything that's coming in is nice and clean. Ultimately, it's going to enable you to drive those impactful decisions that you need to be making. Okay, so I'm just going to flash up on the screen now what we heard from our amazing clients, such as yourselves. Please do take a moment, if you can, while I'm doing this, just to answer at least the first two poll questions, because I will be reviewing the responses to those, and I can use it to drive the actual live workshop as well. So what did you tell us? You told us that you wanted one simple screen to see yours or your team's KPIs at a glance. We're working with a growing number of enterprise businesses, group level businesses where there are different teams, and to have those dashboards saved, ready, shareable was a big request from you. Also, you wanted to be able to drill down into the detail. Okay, this is the thing which is going to enable you to make those decisions. Yes, we can see that we're doing well or we're doing poorly, but let's see why and what is impacting that. And with the new Teamdash reports, that's exactly what you get. We were asked, can you report on your custom fields rather than using the standard dashboard? Absolutely. That is why we've built what we've built. The kind of architecture beneath the new Teamdash reports means it's extremely flexible. You can use any custom candidate or project field to report on. And we're also constantly going to be adding to the widgets that are available, again, with your feedback. Now, bottlenecks. Why is our hiring process slow? Why is it stalling? In fact, you know, two of the sort of most common questions are why are roles dragging on? You know, which stages of the process are taking too long? How do we address it? Which sources are actually converting to hires? Again, we're going to show you exactly how you can drill into that detail. Being able to share reports. So, of course, you can export to Excel in our existing recruitment performance. Not everybody loves Excel. Pavo, our CEO, loves Excel, but not everybody loves Excel. I like something much more visual. And so we've delivered a quick PDF creation. So if you do have to deliver your reports to the board and they're not using Teamdash, we've now got a nice print review ready document for you. Can't understand why numbers are different. So this is something which came up on occasion. And the answer was usually stages haven't been categorized or they've been miscategorized, which was fine. You know, we could tell you that, but then it was a bit of a job for you to go in and perhaps identify all of these. So our new AI tool is going to help you do this instantly. And the comparison between previous months was another big ask. So what we delivered together with you was a card-based customizable workspace with instant filters, super easy to use, one page. You can drill into details from any widget. You can customize your dashboards based on your specific workflows. You can track your progress and compare with all of those previous periods. And using our new AI data hygiene check, we're going to make this even easier to make sure that our data is accurate. And of course, that lovely sharing to PDF, which I know many of you were going to absolutely love. So what you'll get today, you will get a ready-to-use recruitment metrics dashboard out of the box, delivered for you right now. In fact, you already have access to this as from Friday last week. We're going to build a custom stakeholder board together. So as I say, feel free to follow along. If not, it's going to be so easy. You're going to be able to do it literally in minutes after the session. And I'm going to be giving you along the way some really nice tips for some simple settings which you may want to review and tweak, and how we can, as I say, utilize that AI assisted data health checker. With all of that in mind, let's dive straight into Teamdash reports. I'm just going to have a quick check before I do that of our poll results, actually, just to see if I can check what we've got here. So let's have a little look. So time spent and activities across the team, cost related, candidate feedback, time to hire and time to fill, very, very popular there. Also on this one here, to discover where the process slows down. So yeah, so what I can see from our poll so far is discovering bottlenecks. Why is the process slow? What can we do to address it? Also to report on management and reduce admin time, very, very popular. So there's actually quite a mixed bag in terms of what you guys are all looking for. But there are some clear kind of trends here, which I'm going to use to actually drive this practical session. So thank you so much for voting. If you haven't yet voted in the poll, please continue to do so, because this is really, really valuable to us, and we will use this moving forwards with the continued development. So reporting can be seen as, this is without any tool, extremely time consuming, sometimes confusing based on, not understanding why these numbers say what they do, and just a bit of a burden for people who are having to produce these reports. So here at Teamdash, we want to deliver tools that empower HR, talent, recruitment professionals to be able to basically take control of this very quickly, very easily, without adding time and extra work and tasks to their day. And that is what the new reports area delivers. So I'm sure many of you would have already seen we have this new reports menu here. This is where I'm at. You will all have this recruitment metrics, as I say, pre-built dashboard that we've got out the box. And the first thing to understand about all of our reports, whether it's this one or any of our custom reports, is that up here with these quick filters, this is like your control module. So any filters that we apply up here will impact all of the charts that we've got on that dashboard. So let's just say we just want to look at all of our sales roles, for example. We can now zoom in and we can clearly see that we're specifically looking at sales roles across all of these charts. The same with all of these other filters. Now, any other custom project field that you create, such as, I don't know, permanent or temporary in terms of the job type, will be included automatically as soon as you create that custom field. Now, if you are wanting to report on these custom field data, it's very, very important to remember that when you create that custom field, make it a required field. Let's make sure that everybody fills out this information, because it's all well and good having a custom field, but if we're not kind of enforcing the fact that we need to know that data, it's going to skew our results. So very, very important. If you do want to report on something specific, when you create the custom field, please do also make sure that the rule is that it is required. Okay, so let's have a little look at what we've got. Now, we mentioned earlier time to fill and time to hire. In fact, this is one of the biggest results from the poll that you've told us. So very, very important metrics. Just to explain that the time to fill and how we calculate this. So time to fill is taken from the date that the project is started to the date that that project has been completed. We then look at all of the projects within the scope and we give you an average. But we also show you how this time compares to the previous, in this case, 6 months. So in fact, my time to fill has gone up. There's a problem, or potentially it's not a problem. Perhaps we're just busier. But really, if time to fill is going up, it's something that we need to address. So what we can now do with new Teamdash report. Oh, sorry, I think I just dropped out there for a moment while I'm back. So what we can now do with the new Teamdash reports is I can click in and I can drill into the detail. We now get all of the detailed information, such as the time to fill. And in fact, by sorting this column, what we can now do is we can identify specific projects that have caused our time to fill metric to increase. Now, you might have some outliers here, and there may be valid reasons for that. But if we can see that, we've got a good number of projects which are taking a huge amount of time, and hopefully none of yours takes this long. This is my demo data, but just really to highlight, what we can do. I can now drill into this project. I can find out the specific stages, the people that were involved, the stakeholders, the hiring managers, etc. And we can really actually come in and start to address that. Now, of course, if we have a huge number of roles here to go in each one, might take a bit of time, but it still means that we can go in. I'm going to zoom out later and show you actually how we can find out information, take action that has the biggest impact with the least amount of work. But for now, just so you know, I can drill into these details. So if I wanted to jump into more specifics about this particular project, I can jump in, I can review my stats. We can have a look at things like average time in stage and really view where those bottlenecks were. Okay, fantastic. Now, time to hire, very similar. I've got a very similar kind of trend going on here. So time to hire is actually the time from when the candidate first applies and when they are hired. So time to hire obviously will differ from time to fill. They are two different metrics, but very, very similar. But just wanted to let you know how they're calculated. CMPS, now candidate feedback. I know not all of you are using this, but we really, really urge you to be seeking feedback from your candidates. If you're truly committed to providing an excellent candidate experience, there's no better people to ask than the candidates themselves what they think. Now, CMPS, again, is calculated by a 0 to 10 score, which is provided by your candidates. In fact, what we can do, we can actually show you the logic behind CMPS. And I'll explain just a little bit about that, just very, very quickly. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time, but just to show you the logic. So we ask candidates to rate us on a scale of 0 to 10. Candidates who give us a 9 or a 10 are called promoters. 7 or 8 are passives, and 0 to 6 are detractors. We then use this calculation to provide your final CMPS score. Now, CMPS, as I say, is hugely important, I believe, because we need to be capturing feedback from the people that we're trying to impress. Now, we've made it really, really easy by inserting a simple candidate survey form, but we've also enhanced that further so you can actually ask additional questions, because it's all well and good asking a candidate how they rate us on our recruitment process. It's a very generic question, right? Why not ask additional questions, asking them to rate us on how we present our adverts, the interview process itself, the shortlisting or screening process. Really delve deep and let's get specific feedback on specific stages, especially if we've identified that certain stages are bottlenecks for us. We can then start to ask questions to the candidates and hiring managers about how we could improve. Now, many of you will all recognize this candidate progression chart, often known as the funnel in our old recruitment performance area, one of our most popular charts by far, because it's hugely effective. It allows us to view in real time, based on a number of different things, but I'm focusing on source, how our sources in this case are converting. If we're spending time, effort, and money on a particular job board or a particular method of sourcing, we need to ensure that we're getting a return on our investment. And the candidate progression chart shows you exactly that. And again, with the ability to now drill down, it's making this even more effective for us than ever before. Now, I'm actually going to show you in our custom dashboard how we can group by not just source, but by any other candidate field. Now, one very, very important thing I want to mention here is that for candidate progression to be accurate and to really reflect your process, we first of all need to make sure, because this is driven by stage categories. So each of these sections is a stage category that I've got set in Teamdash. Now, many of you will know that you can create custom stage categories within Teamdash. Some of you may not have realized that. We do try and hammer it home, though, an awful lot. So, for example, if I wanted to differentiate between first interview and second interview, I would create stage categories of first interview, second interview, not just one whole stage category, which encompasses all of our individual stages of the interview process. Perhaps I want offer, offer accepted, offer rejected as custom stage categories. So really think about the output and what it is you want to report on, and make sure that you've got the stage categories set up to enable you to do that. In fact, it's very, very easy. We've made it even easier to create stage categories here in Teamdash, custom stage categories. You simply head over to organization settings, stage categories, and we can now adjust or add new categories that we want in the process. So, I mean, I won't have anybody in the additional stage categories, but if I was to add offer accepted, for example, then we would see that magically appear in that funnel view. Now, we have made it extremely, extremely easy to help identify any potential number mismatches. So if you're checking this, this chart and you think, hang on a minute, those numbers don't look right. The hires, I thought we had more than that. I'm going to show you an amazing tool really, really quickly. Now, this is our ability to review the stage categories. Okay. Now, we've always been able to highlight to you categories which were uncategorized, but now we've taken this one step further, and we can actually use AI to find potentially miscategorized stages here. Now, I'll explain how this works. So uncategorized stages, we'll delve into this a little bit later. The reason you may have uncategorized stages is because if you're using project templates and you've set those templates up, there is a chance that you may not have categorized a stage. Very, very easy to rectify. But let's have a look at these potentially miscategorized stages. For example, I've got a stage here called async video, which has been used in 2 projects. Now, currently, I've got that categorized as applications, whereas we all know that async video is generally part of the interview category. And so I've almost definitely going to be able to update this. So I can do this individually. I can apply that suggestion. No problem at all. That's now fixed. Probably more importantly, I've got a hired stage, which is currently categorized as offer. So this is going to be skewing our hired statistics. So again, I'm almost certainly going to apply that suggestion. Now, if I disagree with what the AI is suggesting, because as we always do whenever we utilize AI, we just have it suggest to you with you making the final decision. You can override the suggestion and choose yourself. But if we're happy, and I'm happy with the recommendations that the AI has given here, I can actually apply this to all stages. I've instantly tidied up my data, which without this sort of tool would have taken a huge amount of time. And we can now see that our numbers are all refreshed within our charts on our recruitment metrics dashboard. So really, really nice tool. I mean, you can also find this over here in this stage category stage, but you know, let's drive this from reports. But you can see now everything has been categorized correctly. So really, really nice, really, really nice tool. If you need any help and support with any of these functions, please do reach out and ask, but it is very simple. 3 little dots, review stage categories, review what Teamdash AI has found. Now, we do have application by source as another chart. We've got hires by source. We've got various styles shown here. We have new applications within this area here. This is where we can start to spot trends. Are there certain months where we're receiving more applications? Are there months where we're very light? Of course, we can extend that time period to 12 months, 2 years, again, to help us spot those trends. It's really going to help us with effectively planning. If we can see that the summer months, for example, we're receiving a huge number of applications, we know that we need to plan appropriately. Perhaps you need to reach out to us and ask us to switch on the AI CV screening to help you deal with that extra volume of applicants. And we can also start to review the workload of our recruitment, of our HR teams down here as well. You know, are there individuals that are taking on the bulk of the work? Is there anybody that's got got more capacity? And again, we can review everything by drilling down into the details if we need to. So pre-built, out of the box, ready for you to use right away. Remember, all of these filters will apply to all of these projects. If you are using continuous projects, then I obviously recommend that you exclude those so it doesn't skew the figures. Now, if the AI stage categorizer seems to be taking a long time to think, it probably suggests you've got a lot of categories that are potentially mismatched or uncategorized, because it's having to look through many, many more. So please do bear with it. But as I say, it could suggest that there are many things which need addressing. But as I've shown you, to get them addressed, very quick and very easy. Right. Okay. Now, let's have a little look at how we can easily create a custom dashboard from scratch. And as I say, do please feel free to follow along with this if you have got a couple of screens. If you haven't, you'll be flicking between tabs, so it might not be a great idea. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see that I've just created my new report, and here's the name of that report right now. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pick the widgets that we want to add. So a widget is essentially looking at specific metrics, and it will include certain parameters which are relevant to that. So let's actually add the candidate progression, because as I say, this is by far the most popular. And in fact, let's imagine that we were building this for one of our teams. So we use a team specific one as well. So we're going to choose the candidate progression widget. The candidate progression only has one style, which is our beloved funnel. But what you can do is you can now choose the projects that are included. Don't forget that the filters at the top of our page can be used at any point. So if you want to build a general report and you want to change the users, the teams there, that's fine. But if you're looking to build a report that you want to share with your team or share with external stakeholders, then it might be that you actually want to use these custom filters. So let's actually just show you an example of that. So I just want to use the sales roles in this particular example. You can see the numbers have changed, right? We almost certainly want to group this by source, but we can also group it by any other candidate custom field. I've got some DEI kind of hidden fields here, which we'll touch on later. But let's just group this by source. And of course, you can set the time frame. So let's do 6 months. We're now going to add this to our report. Because it's so important and popular, I'm going to drag this across and make this fill the whole screen. So you can reposition, you can drag these around. I'm going to show you a little bit more. We can resize them. You can build it to your particular liking. So this is our first one. Now, again, because we did this by sales, I might actually want to call this candidate progression sales roles. But entirely up to you what you call this. Okay. Right, let's add another widget. The next widget we're going to add is our time in stage category. Now, this one is really, really important to help you spot those bottlenecks. And I can't reiterate enough, again, if you're wanting to track this effectively, make sure that your stage categories are set, that everything's categorized correctly, because that means that the metrics that we see here are going to be much more accurate. Now, let's actually use a bar chart for this one. It's already showing me that this is looking at custom stage categories. Again, I could apply any custom filters that I want to. We'll go for 6 months, and we're going to group this one by custom stage category. We can now see, in fact, let's get this added to the report. And again, let's make this one a bit bigger. But we can now see that in my example, the interview stage is the stage where we're having our biggest bottlenecks. It takes longer. Now, the interview stage of the process does typically take longer anyway. It's usually about 2/3 of the entire recruitment process. But if we see that it's taking far too long on average, then this is something that we need to address. Are we holding too many levels of interviews? Are we taking too long to get back to our candidates? With our drill down ability, we can actually find that out now. We can dig into this month on our interview. We can see those which are taking the longest by sorting these columns. And we can really now dig into that project and find out why. Okay, so super, super important. Make sure that if we wanted to report on these bottlenecks, these time and stage categories, that our categories are set and done correctly. So we've now added 2 widgets. In fact, let's make this one just a little bit smaller over here. And we're going to add a 3rd widget now, which is dropouts. Now, again, dropouts or rejection reasons, as they're probably more commonly known, really, really important for us to understand, right? If we're receiving 300 applications from a certain job board and 80% of them we disqualify because they haven't got the relevant qualifications, there's something that we can see that we need to address. We either stop utilizing that job board for that type of role because it's just generating irrelevant candidates, or perhaps we need to be a bit clearer in our job ads to ensure, perhaps we need to ask questions in our forms, do they hold that qualification? But unless we see what the end result looks like, we can't effectively address this. Now, I'm going to show you something with dropouts as well, because again, for this report to be effective, first and foremost, we need to make sure that we've reviewed our dropout reasons and we're actually prompting our users to add a dropout reason. So within organization settings, we have this menu option of dropout reasons here. Now, these are customizable. So even if you've already started using these, maybe you've already started adding some of your own, and there are company reasons and candidate reasons. Candidate reasons, this is why a candidate is pulled out of the process. Company, this is why we've rejected them. Now, we can edit these. Keep in mind, if you've already got occurrences, then it will update those existing occurrences. But we can also merge them as well. So if you see that some similar reasons have been added, and in fact, they need to be grouped together. So it's just a little bit of housekeeping that I recommend to really make sure that your reporting output is as accurate as possible. So let's review our dropout reasons, but also within organization settings under the project tab, we do actually have a toggle switch here to prompt for a reason when a candidate drops out. So when a candidate's moved to the rejected stage, a little module pops up and we can pick the reason. Okay, if we want to report on why candidates are dropping out, we need to feed that data into the system quickly and easily. So again, two kind of tips there to make sure that our dropouts report is accurate. And again, I'm just going to work through. I'm going to choose the style, choose which projects are included, choose the time frame, and then the value group is probably the most important. Because we're adding dropout reasons, it was obviously dropout reason that we wanted to choose here. We're going to now get this one added to our report. We can drag this up here. We can click into this and find out the most common dropout reasons. We can choose to come in here and edit this. We can have a look at dropout reasons by source and compare that. So just a very, very kind of quick example of a custom dashboard that can be built using some of the widgets that we don't include in our standard recruitment metrics. But of course, because we do have a large number of widgets, because we can include your custom project and candidate fields, we can also create some really, really comprehensive reports. Here's one that I made earlier, and I just want to scroll through very quickly to show you what we've got. We've got our candidate progression, as we looked at earlier. We've got our time and stage category. We're also celebrating our hires, and especially celebrating because we're up 33% since the previous 6 months, which means we're growing, which is fantastic. Time to hire, not so great though. Something here that we definitely need to drill in and address. Same with time to fill. We can quickly see that the best source of our hires are in fact our existing talent pool in my case. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that we need to nurture our talent pools. So, let's keep in touch with the candidates that have come into our system that maybe weren't successful originally, because it looks here like we do end up managing to find a position that they are suitable for. We can see here as well by which department in our business is the busiest. This helps us to plan effectively. Where do we need more resource? We can also then start to look at things like the source of applicants. And again, we can look at these across department, but I want to see across each of these months here in the last 6 months, which of our sources are most effective. And of course, I've got dropout reasons. So this is a hugely comprehensive report that I've built specific to this instance. Now, if I want to download this report as that nice PDF, Very, very simple. And really, really cool. If we add any filters up here and apply them, when we download the PDF, it's going to remember all of those for us as well. So I'll just show you really quickly what that nice PDF report is going to look like. And of course, we give it an appropriate name, but it's now something very, very visual that we can choose to share in our board meetings, in our quarterly reviews, wherever we need them. Probably also important to show you that we can also manage access, so we can share these reports with others as well. Now, if they are existing Teamdash users, perhaps you've created a report for your team, for example. So now I want to be able to share the report that I've created for my specific team. I don't want them to edit it. This is just a read only, and we can then grant them access. That report will now appear instantly in my team members list of available reports here over on the left hand side as well. So as a team manager, I can create reports. I can choose to share them with certain individuals or my entire team. We can also export as PDF. And for those people that still love an Excel, from these list views or these detail views that we talk about, you can also download that data into an Excel file. It's nicely formatted as well. So as I say, it's review ready. People can check that out, no problem at all. So I just want to show you now another example. Now, I know DEI isn't the top of everybody's priorities, but just to show you how I've been able to use the candidate progression in combination with some candidate custom fields. Now, because this is DEI data, diversity data, I've actually created those custom fields as hidden fields. So that means that I can't actually drill into the details because, quite rightly so, this data should be kept private. But I can now see, out of the applications that I've received in the last 6 months, I can see the most common ethnicity. I can see it by gender. I can see it, in this case, I actually asked for medical condition. Personally, I don't agree with it, but somebody asked for that. And we can have age as another example. So this isn't to suggest that you should create this type of report or even request this DEI data. You know, that's down to you and your kind of business strategy. But it's just to show you an example of what can be done based on those really custom fields that we create for you there. So just to reiterate, and again, I can't stress this enough, let's make sure that we've done a little bit of housekeeping in terms of reviewing our stage categories. Now, one extra thing that you may want to do in regards to making sure that the stage categories have been categorized. So if you run that AI and you see that you have got uncategorized stages, it is probably because if you're using project templates, which we really urge you to use because it saves time, it most likely means that you have stages which are uncategorized, like this, for example. Okay. Now, we've actually added a new feature or a new control so that you can't actually do this when you're creating new project templates. When you're adding new stages, it makes sure that you categorize them. But for some of our older clients where they have been creating templates before that control was in place, there could be a chance that those stages are uncategorized. But the AI checker is going to show you this and allow you to action it and save it really, really quickly. Okay. The next thing, dropout reasons. If you want to report on these, let's get those reviewed. Let's make sure that we've got the toggle turned on to prompt for a dropout reason. And we talked about candidate feedback earlier and how valuable that is. So if you need any assistance in creating a much more in-depth candidate survey, like the example I have here, where we are asking our standard CMPS question, but we're also delving a little bit deeper, then please reach out to your CSM because we can help you create additional candidate survey forms that are extremely valuable for finding out how we can improve. And for those of you that are inclined, you can also ask your hiring managers for feedback. The example I like to use here is perhaps we can see that there's a bottleneck with a certain hiring manager for every role that they're involved in. And if we're not communicating with that hiring manager or finding out why, it's going to be difficult to address. But why not start being proactive and potentially asking your hiring managers, again, for feedback at the point that the role's completed? Maybe they're struggling with Teamdash. Maybe they need a little bit of help. It's unlikely because it's super easy to use, but maybe that's the reason why they're slow to feedback. Maybe they feel that there's something else in the process that doesn't quite suit them. Unless we know these sorts of things, we can't address them. So yeah, there's another potential way in which we can really help to constantly improve the process there. Now, we are coming towards the end of the practical workshop. I'm going to open the floor up to questions. More than happy to run through those. But perhaps before I do that, let's just do a bit of a recap on what we've looked at today with some of my tips that we can make sure that we look at. Oh, in fact, there's something here I forgot to show you. Again, another nice new feature, but really, really important. If a project's finished, mark it as finished. Because again, otherwise, when we're running our filters and reports, it's going to give us some skewed data. Also, if we don't finish the project in the right way, which I'm going to show you now very quickly, there could be a risk that we still have, let's just do it here. This is how I recommend you finish a project, by the way. You can do it inside the project as well. But if I'm on here and I know that I need to finish it, we then get this module pop up. And this is actually showing me that I've still got active landing pages. I could still have job ad exports. This advert could still be live somewhere. So we've made it so easy for you to actually archive the landing pages so that they can't be found. We've made it super easy for you to unpublish the job ad exports. And if you're using a role-specific form, you could also archive that form. Now, the reason those things are important is because we don't want to keep receiving applicants after a role is finished. Because for one, the role's finished, so automated emails won't be going out. But two, again, it's going to be skewing our figures. So yeah, really, really important that you make sure that you're marking your projects as finished. Really, really important that you create or update your custom stage categories. Reach out for any help that you need with that. We'll be more than happy. Use that nice new AI feature. It's going to make that whole process so easy for you. We really, really urge you to use project templates. It's going to save you time when you're creating new projects. It's going to ensure that we are using a consistent approach, terminology, stages, etc. Of course, we can add, we can customize as we go to each project, but using the project template gives us an amazing blueprint to save us time, promote consistency. Have a little review of your dropout reasons and check whether you want to actually turn on that toggle switch to prompt users to add it. And let's not forget to ask our candidates and potentially managers for feedback as well. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the questions now, and let's have a little look to see whether we've got anything that we can answer for any of you. So let's have a little look. Okay, I've got a couple of questions coming through. So yes, in regards to the candidate progression or the funnel, you can, as I mentioned earlier, you can add different sections in here by simply creating new stage categories. You can also group by different things. So as we mentioned again earlier, if I edit this widget and I don't want to group by source and I want to group by something else, then I can actually change that grouping in there as well to meet my custom fields. Thank you for that question. Just going to check on the poll as well. Okay, so another question. Actually, yes. So what I recommend you do is if you are creating these custom reports and they do need to be shared, again, something I mentioned earlier, then actually use the filters within each of these charts when you're creating them. So if I wanted to create this for the sales team, for example, use your custom filters in here, name the chart appropriately, and then you can then easily share that chart there. But as I say, also, you can just create one generic board which covers everything and use these really nice quick filters here at the top as well. So thank you for that. Okay, there are still some questions coming in. We will make sure that we answer all of those, and don't worry, the recording of this session is going to be shared. Please do reach out to us if you do need anything at all. And yeah, just really appreciate your time, really appreciate all of the input that you've given us. You've helped us to deliver what we heard from you, and we are continuing to enhance, improve it as well. So if there's specific metrics that you would love to see that we haven't got, and we've already got some in the works, by the way, but please do send them across. We'll get those reviewed. And if it's possible, then absolutely, we will look to add those widgets for you. So just to recap, you asked for your KPIs, not generic templates. Tick, we did that. You wanted to be able to click once to explain the numbers. The view details thing exists because you asked for that transparency. The widget layout mirrors the weekly conversions or conversations that you told us you're already having. So literally set it up in the right order, in the right layout. And again, to reiterate, AI's job here, the AI tool I showed you, is to support you, not to replace your judgment or make the final decision. So yeah, don't be afraid to use it. It's not going to be overriding you. It's just simply there to assist you. Excellent. Well, I think that would be an okay time to stop. I hope you all found that valuable. Please do jump into the new reports area, start using it right away, reach out to us with any questions, and yeah, happy reporting, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Take care now.